Hello. I'm Olivia. I'm a homeopath, a naturopath, a nutritionist, and a herbalist. And I'm so excited to be chatting to you today about homeopathy in general and how you can start integrating homeopathy into your home. Now, you don't need my homeopathic first aid kit. You can use any homeopathic first aid kit. And the reason for that is you don't necessarily need a whole collection of homeopathic medicines. My homeopathic first aid kit comes with the top 20 homeopathic medicines that can transform your health and your family's health for those acute ailments. So, kind of for like those unpredictable first aid moments. So, before we get into homeopathy and how you can start integrating it into your life, let me just explain a little bit more about me. So I was first introduced to homeopathy back when I was studying naturopathy. So if I'm completely honest with you, when I started my natural medicine qualifications, I'd never even heard of homeopathy. What was really interesting was the homeopathy subjects just were part of the course. So it was kind of a not negotiable. So at the time I thought, oh, this is an interesting modality. I don't think I'll ever use it, but I'll learn about it and get my qualifications, which is obviously hilarious because now homeopathy is probably the primary modality of my clinical practice. So I was really on the fence about it, even when I started learning about homeopathy. I kind of just couldn't wrap my head around the concept of energetic medicine. So I want to explain it to you so that you can see and understand what I am talking about. Because most people have either never heard of homeopathy or they're really familiar with it and they love it. Homeopathy is an energetic system of medicine and it is not new. In fact, if you can imagine Australia just over 100 years ago, there were actually homeopathic hospitals all over the country. So in Sydney, in Melbourne, Tassie, etc. With the introduction of pharmaceuticals, there was opposition from the orthodox medical facilities, and homeopathic hospitals really kind of fizzled out in Australia. However, that was not the case across the rest of the globe. So, World Health Organization still state that homeopathy is the second largest form of medicine in the world. Now, some countries have homeopathy integrated into their national healthcare system, like Sweden. France is actually a really good example because the World Health Organization ranked France as having the best overall healthcare system globally. Now, what's interesting in France is that in order to prescribe homeopathy, you need to be a medical physician. So it's believed that 80% of medical physicians prescribe homeopathy. Now, their number one cold or flu medicine is actually a homeopathic preparation. So you have somewhere like France, and they model true integrative healthcare because I truly believe that homeopathy is the medicine of the past and it's the medicine of the future. Homeopathy, think of it as similar to liquid acupuncture because, as I said, it's energetic medicine. So the word homeopathy means like suffering. So the underlying principle of homeopathy is that like cures like. Let me explain that. A substance that is capable of causing can also be capable of curing. And we see that these days with different medications and different options. Very simple example is Ritalin. Ritalin, for someone that is experiencing hyperactivity, Ritalin can calm them. However, if you have someone that's already fairly stable and they take Ritalin, it can cause hyperactivity. A great example is coffee. And I always come back to coffee because I'm a coffee girl. So I am not here to bag out coffee, don't worry. But if you have a coffee, it can, in small amounts, stimulate you in a way that can be productive in the sense that, it can support focus, concentration, etc. However, if you're sensitive to coffee, if you have too much coffee, potentially you drink it too late in the day, what can coffee do? It can cause that overstimulation. So it can cause kind of that jitteriness, that kind of anxiety, go, go, go sensation and symptoms. So in homeopathy, if I'm working with a patient and they have issues falling asleep at night, they say to me, they get into bed and some of their sleep issues or insomnia are because their mind is overactive. They feel overstimulated, they feel jittery, they have that mind chatter. One of the homeopathic medicines that I may consider giving them is coffee in a homeopathic preparation called kefir. Because when you take a tiny amount of a substance, it can help balance the body. So I'm going to share my top 7 homeopathic medicines. I would love to go through my top 20, but you'll be here for a long time if I do that. So as I said, this is more of an introduction to homeopathy in general and some of the key medicines that I use both in clinic and also in my personal life. So I am a mum of 5 small children aging 3 to 9. So we rely pretty heavily on homeopathy because there is not a week that goes by where we don't have a headache, gastro, cold or flu, a bump, a bruise, something going on. And homeopathy can be a beautiful addition to your natural first aid cabinet and just, first line of defense. So before, you're doing the frantic run to the pharmacy or the late night doctor Googling, it's really empowering to have non-invasive, safe, effective medicine at home that you're confident to use. So with homeopathy, let's get into some of the key medicines, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more around the dosage. Probably one of my favorite medicines that I like to start off by talking about is arnica, because arnica is the most well-known homeopathic medicine, and it is shown time and time again in peer-reviewed medical journals to be as effective as your non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medication post-operations for inflammation and swelling. So arnica is used a lot for that kind of soft tissue damage. So inflammation, bruises, bumps, also overstrain of muscles. So as soon as one of my kids has a knock, arnica is the first thing that we typically reach for the bumps, cuts, bruises, grazes, etc. Arnica is also very effective to take traveling. Now, the reason is arnica can be used to help prevent symptoms of jet lag. So think about jet lag. You often have those symptoms of feeling just complete exhaustion. It's like muscular aches and pains. So one of the things that I encourage my patients to do is take a dose of arnica every 4 hours while they're on a flight, and that can help prevent jet lag, which is amazing. So as I said, arnica is like your number 1 healer. Think of it as a healing medicine. The other time that a lot of the women that I work with use it is for the postpartum, the 2-week postpartum period, because whether it was a vaginal birth or a cesarean birth, there has been trauma. What do we want to do? We want to speed up healing, reduce inflammation, and help manage pain. So a dose of arnica every day for the 2 weeks postpartum can also be really effective as a healing agent. The second homeopathic medicine that you want to know about is arsenicum. Now, arsenicum, think of arsenicum as the 3 A's. It is amazing for anxiety. So really big one for anxiety in terms of when people explain to me that they're just worry warts, it's, they'll say they're constantly on edge. There's like a low level anxiety that's going on. You want to think of arsenicum, especially if they have fears around their health and death and disease. Arsenicum is also a key homeopathic medicine for allergies. So you have anxiety, allergies. When I say allergies, it can be a tendency towards hay fever, sinusitis, seasonal issues, congestion. Arsenicum can be incredibly effective for helping move someone through some of those symptoms and helping recalibrate the immune system. The third A for arsenicum is any gastro-related symptoms. When I say gastro, it could be traveler's diarrhea, it could be food poisoning, but any of those typical nausea, vomiting, gastro-y, loose stools, diarrhea presentations, arsenicum again can help you move through it more quickly. So the 3 A's for arsenicum are anxiety, allergic tendency, and any gastro-related symptoms. One of the things you might hear me saying, even just with those two remedies already, is that homeopathy helps you move through symptoms. That is very different to nearly all modalities. A lot of health and healing suppresses the body. You even think about conventional medicine, Western medicine, what would their approach be for anxiety? It would be anti-anxiety medication. They're trying to suppress the anxiety. If someone has elevated cholesterol, they go on anti-cholesterol medication. They're trying to lower the cholesterol. Homeopathy is different. Homeopathy does not suppress. Instead, it tries to help you move through those symptoms. It helps stimulate your body's innate ability to heal, which is known as your vital force. So homeopathy is not a magic wand. You know, if you have an allergic flare-up like hay fever and you take arsenicum, it's not going to suppress. It's not an antihistamine like you would get at the chemist. Instead, it may help regulate histamine. It may support you so that you move through the flare-up more quickly. So that's a really key difference. Okay, homeopathic medicine number 3 is chamomilla. Now just think of like a cup of chamomile tea. What does it do? It is soothing and calming. So with chamomilla, I also teach it. I like to break things down, as you can probably see, as the 3 C's for colicky. So any bubbies that seem to have colic, they seem to be bent over, they're in pain, you might think of chamomilla. Chamomilla is also an amazing medicine for a child that is confused. Typically, they're in the age bracket of 0 to 3 or 4 years of age. They don't know what they want, and you don't know what they want. So you offer them something that maybe you thought they wanted, or they indicated that they wanted it, and then they don't want it. So it is for that child that is confused. They don't know what they want. You put them down in their cot or in their bed, they scream, they want to be picked up. You pick them up, they scream, you put them down. You don't know. So it's for that irritability that's there for that child. Chamomilla is soothing to the nervous system. With that in mind, it is probably the number 1 teething homeopathic medicine. Chamomilla and belladonna would probably be my 2 key homeopathic medicines where mums and dads are converted. You know, if it's the middle of the night and you have a child that seems bent over in pain, they're irritable, you don't know what they want, it could be teething, you're not really sure, and you give them a dose of chamomilla and it calms them and they fall asleep, you are hooked and you're going, what just happened? What was that? So think of chamomilla for teething and irritability. So as I said, it's the 3 C's. It's colicky, confusion, where they just don't really know what they want. And as I said, this is also a key remedy to consider for children that may have temper tantrums. And so I'm talking about tweens or teenagers here. You're not really sure what's going on for them. You don't really know what they want. They don't know what they want. They're all over the shop. You keep offering things and you can't seem to please them. You want to think of chamomilla in that case. So it's a great one for colicky, confusion, and clingy. And as I said, it's that irritability of that clinginess that you want to consider. The next remedy is called nux vomica. So remedy number 4, nux vomica, which is kind of known as the hangover remedy. The reason is this is a homeopathic medicine for overstimulation, overindulgence. So think of people that are kind of workaholics. So late nights, they tend to then overindulge in nicotine, alcohol, fast foods, etc. They're overworked, overindulgent, so too much booze, too many late nights, a lot going on. And they're in that state, they're in that nervous system, fight or flight, stress response of go, go, go. It is specific homeopathic medicine for the presentation of sluggish bowels. So it could be constipation and reflux, especially if they're not tolerating fatty foods. You want to consider nux vomica. It is a good one for excessive cravings of sugar and of stimulants. So I've used this homeopathic medicine in clinic for patients. Yes, I mean for some more subtle cravings like the 3 p.m. craving for chocolate, or, that energy slump, and they want to pick me up. But I've also used it for patients that have stronger cravings in terms of potentially nicotine or alcohol or something like that. It can be a really effective homeopathic medicine for curbing cravings. The fifth homeopathic medicine that I believe every single woman should know about to either support themselves or their loved ones is Sapia. Now, Sapia is probably one of the most hormone balancing homeopathic medicines. So it can be used to support women that have hormone imbalances. So that could present as irregular periods, fertility issues, PCOS, also perimenopause and menopause. I do use it, and it's highly indicated also for women that have prolapse. So this could be prolapse of the uterus, and it can kind of come with a dragging down sensation. I mean, I'm heavily talking about the physical presentations here of Sapia, but you're probably working out that it is a classic remedy that I use for women that are aged 15 to 50, because going through adolescence when they're trying to establish their menstrual cycle into the days of optimizing their fertility, pregnancy, postpartum. It's a huge postpartum medicine. And also for that perimenopause, menopause picture. The interesting thing about Sapia is it really matches a lot of emotional and mental presentations for women at some point in their life. So this is a homeopathic medicine for the touched out woman. She is an incredible mum, incredible, but becomes burnt out. She's often trying to do all the things. She's potentially a stay-at-home mum, and she's volunteering at Saturday sport or canteen duty and reading group, and she's doing all the things. And at some point, she gets exhausted because she's neglected herself. Or I tend to use it a lot for mums that are working and they are trying to juggle being amazing present mothers, amazing in the workplace or running their own business, and they have a lot on their plate. And again, it is what I tend to see is women that become completely drained physically and emotionally. They can also become detached. They can become quite indifferent to their loved ones. They can become snappy, resentful at their husband, indifferent towards their children. Some days it's like they're in automatic robot mode and they're just ticking the list and they're not present. The joy isn't there. And this is an amazing medicine to help them both on a hormonal level, but as I said, it can clear a lot of blockages emotionally and help restore them. So this is a homeopathic medicine, as I said, hormone balancing, touched out and exhausted mum. And often the symptoms and the signs will be either that crippling fatigue or just that indifference where they're like, no one touch me, just I need a moment. They tend to not want to go out much. They really kind of pull back from the social engagements. But what's interesting is they tend to feel better. The typical Sapia woman tends to feel better from vigorous exercise. She does like to exercise or dance or do something strenuous and vigorous. So consider that as kind of that classic homeopathic medicine for exhaustion, irritability, disconnection, as well as the hormone balancing medicine. Now, the other two homeopathic medicines that I want to share with you are my two blends, which is the energy blend and the digest blend. So my homeopathic kit this year has 20 homeopathic medicines. Last year it only had 18, but we updated things and we now have a digest blend and an energy blend. The reason is I work with so many women and children that are exhausted. So in the energy blend, there's a few key homeopathic medicines. One of them is called Califos. Now, Califos is also a tissue salt, and it is the most nervous system supportive. It's known as a nerve tonic. It helps calm the nervous system. So the energy blend is specifically for brain fog, irritability, and exhaustion. And it's because so often we are in that state of go, go, go. Often, well, we live in the real world, so not often, unless you're a hermit living in the wilderness and you don't have any access to Wi-Fi and you're growing your own vegetables. Okay, you might not be in a state of go, go, go. But for most of us, we have healthy stresses and a lot of unhealthy stresses. And this is a key homeopathic medicine that can help calm an overactive nervous system. The second homeopathic blend is the Digest blend. Now, the Digest blend is specifically targeted for sluggish bowels. So it's for that typical presentation of bloating, so a fullness, and potentially you even wake up with bloating or it comes on from food. We seem to be overactive. We're very sensitive. And, often patients will say to me, right, I'm intolerant to dairy and to gluten and to this and to that. You can remove a lot of foods from your diet and that can address the symptoms, but it's not addressing the underlying causes. It's not supporting your gut. It's not changing anything on a deeper level, because my goal is to resolve those issues so that you have a more resilient gut. So often there's a reactivity to foods, bloating, and sluggish bowels. There can be a picture, it can be full-blown constipation, but also potentially not moving your bowels once to twice a day. Or if you do go to the toilet, sometimes it can be hard to pass a stool, or there can be straining. So as I said, that indigestion picture can present either more of the bloating and the reflux or the sluggish bowels. So there 7 of the most amazing homeopathic medicines that I genuinely believe you want to have in your home. And as I said, whether they are my homeopathic medicines from my kit, or you already have a homeopathic kit, or you've bought one from a health food shop, use what you have. Homeopathy is definitely something that you just need to practice. It's how you get better, and it's how you develop any new skill. It's practicing over and over. So let's just recap on those 7 homeopathic medicines. First one was, oh, you're testing me now, arnica. Arnica, the #1 healer. Any bumps, cuts, bruises, swelling. Also, don't forget about it for jet lag, arnica. Then we have remedy #2, which was arsenicum. Now, arsenicum is for the 3 A's: anxiety, allergies, and any gastro-related symptoms. Remedy #3 was chamomilla. Chamomilla is the 3 C's for confusion, clinginess, and colicky. And as I said, that chamomilla fits, the physical presentations really fit teething. So it's a classic teething remedy. Remedy #4, nux vomica, the overworked, overindulgent, overstimulated, people that tend to have sugar cravings, potentially they have a lot of late nights, fatty or rich foods. They may also have a desire for alcohol, nicotine, etc. It's the hangover remedy. And as I said, it's also really useful for a lot of stagnation with the gut. If the gut's really slowed down, especially if there's like a constipation and it's related to rich foods or overindulgent, think of nux vomica. Remedy #5 was sapia. And remember, sapia is the hormone balancing medicine. So it's great for anyone that has either elevated estrogen or potentially low estrogen. So that can present as, your typical elevated estrogen pictures are endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, etc. But also can be used for dropping and low estrogen presentations like perimenopause and menopause, because sapia is balancing. It's a hormone balancing medicine. And as I said, it's also a great remedy for mums that are feeling exhausted. They're trying to do all the things and they've become irritable, touched out, and indifferent towards their loved ones. And we want to help them find the spark and the joy in their everyday life again. And then we finished off with the 2 blends, the energy blend for brain fog, and fatigue and those high stress situations, and digest blend, which typically is for the bloating, indigestion, sluggish bowels, and constipation. They're your 7 homeopathic medicines. 7 of the key homeopathic medicines is what I should say. So how do you take a dose of homeopathic medicine? Right. What you want to do is when you have a kit of homeopathic medicines, you are choosing a homeopathic medicine that best fits the totality of symptoms. So what that means is you're choosing a homeopathic medicine either for yourself or for your child that matches their physical, emotional, and mental symptoms best. So let's use an example there. Let's say I've got a tween, I've got a 9-year-old, nearly 10-year-old, and he's having some pretty interesting tantrums. Now, there's 2 medicines that I've already mentioned that can be great for those tween and teenager tantrums, which are chamomilla and nux vomica. So chamomilla, that is the irritable, confused, potentially for me, my son, he's just cracking it. He doesn't know what he wants, or I offer him what he wants, gets cranky, kind of storms off. I would be thinking of a medicine like chamomilla. It's a calming homeopathic medicine that can be really effective and highly indicated for those kind of tantrums. However, let's say he had more of a nux vomica tantrum. With nux vomica, it is, let's say he's had some late nights over the weekend or school holidays, and he's overindulged in sugar. And he starts cracking it, and I can see a fiery temper there. And I know he's recently overindulged. He's had too much sugar. He's had late nights. And he knows exactly what he wants, but he's still tantruming. Then I would lean myself towards more of the nux vomica. So as I said, you don't need thousands of homeopathic medicines, but you do need just a handful. And what you're always doing is you're just spending a minute to consider what presentations your child have and what medicine that best matches. When you select your medicine, so let's go with the example of my son, and let's say, and this just happened, he had a party yesterday, overindulged on sugar, some incredible, amazing tantrums. I would reach for the medicine nux vomica. What I would do with this nux vomica is I would open up the lid and I would just add 2 drops of this into his bottle of water for the morning or a glass of water. So 1, 2, oh, we did 1 for good luck. That is it. 2 drops in a 500 ml bottle or large glass of water. Give the bottle a shake or stir the cup of water and have a sip. 1 sip is 1 dose. That's it. 1 sip is 1 dose. The great thing about adding homeopathic medicine to water is that you then have a few doses, which is great for helping stimulate your vital force. If you don't have access to water, you can do 2 drops under the tongue, but I always prefer it diluted so that you can have more doses and it makes your medicines go a lot further. Also, because from a financial perspective, we don't want you chewing through your medicines too quickly. You tend to use your homeopathic medicines more if it's an acute complaint. So let's go with the example of teething that I mentioned earlier. You wouldn't want to give chamomilla, a dose of chamomilla to say a 1-year-old, and then just watch and wait for hours on end to see if it relieves them. No. In an acute situation, you want someone to have that sip or have that dose every 15 minutes. And you want them to have at least 3 doses. And if there's been no change, if there's been no improvement in their symptoms, you may need to actually go back and select a different homeopathic medicine. Most people will respond to a homeopathic medicine within 1 to 3 doses. And as I said, these homeopathic medicines, we're using them for acute ailments like teething, like colic, like gastro, food poisoning, etc. So we do want to see a fast response and fast result. So consider that as well. If you do have any questions around the dosage, the frequency, the homeopathics, please know that when you purchase a homeopathic first aid kit through me, not only do you receive your 20 homeopathic medicines and you receive the box, you also receive a guidebook which walks you through how to use every single medicine. You also receive a 10-minute chat with me. We do this online or over the phone because I want to guide you and make sure that you are confident to start using your homeopathic medicines when they arrive. So the whole point of you receiving the ebook and the guidebook and having a touch point with me is so that you feel confident to become a home prescriber. Because as I said before, the only way to learn this new skill and to start becoming a homeopath and healer in your own home is to start practicing it. So I hope this helps. I hope this has given you some good information, some inspo, some encouragement. And as I said, you don't have to learn all 20 homeopathic medicines. Start with a couple that you think will really suit you in your home and start using them. And then as things pop up in your home, you've got your guidebook, you've got your ebook, you've got your resources you can turn to so that you can start utilizing the medicines for all of those first aid situations. See you later. Bye.